everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the second part of this Krebs M23 Prototype series that we're going to be diving into on this channel, on YouTube and on Instagram. If you missed the last video, basically we shot the gun at Kalashnikov, not at the match, but we brought it and we put it in the hands of a lot of different people that were shooting Kalashnikov, because a lot of those people that go to that match are like hardcore AK guys and girls. They know what they like. They know AKs through and through, so Mark asked me to bring it with us to Kalashnikov and kind of take everyone's temperature on it. So early in that first video, in our first few hundred rounds, we were running the stock very high. And if you remember, the way he's got this SIG stock adapter, it goes pretty high and kind of blocks your takedown pin. However, he does say that it was intended to open with a bullet tip. If you use a bullet tip, it's extremely easy. If you try to fat finger it, it can be a little difficult. This has kind of been the happy place that I have found since that first initial shots. And in the first video, we were running AR-15 height sights. In order to do that, you really had to run this stock as high as it would go on that mount. That was really some of the only criticisms I was hearing from people. They didn't like the AR-15 sights, and they thought the stock was riding a little bit too high. So I thought, all right, we got to try a red dot on this. So what we've done now is we put a little Trijicon reflex sight. I tried a bunch of different optics. This was about the best height that fit me personally, running the stock a bit lower than the way he sent it to me. So it's got a little bit of mount exposed there. This seems to be the happy medium. And this still kind of does what he wanted it to do. He wanted the stock to kind of be more in line with the reciprocating carrier. Well, it kind of still is. And I do think it helps with recoil a little bit, but it doesn't seem too high. This height with this optic height is just freaking money, dude. It really is good. Another thing that people were saying in the last video, they really liked the flash hider that he had on it, but they were really wanting to see what it felt like with a muzzle brake. So I dug around and I found, had a JMac RRD4C laying around, 14x1 left hand. So it's a pretty substantial brake. It does kill recoil. Muzzle devices are held on with a jam nut on this gun. So we popped it on, took 5 minutes just to see if we could kill some recoil, and it absolutely does. This thing shoots extremely flat. Also, some feedback we got in the first video was the gun really felt well tuned gas-wise. So I've tried several different types of ammo, and I will tell you I've had to change the gas setting. So if I'm using like lacquer-coated Barnall ammo, which tends to be a bit hotter than Tula or Wolf non-lacquer coated steel case, I'm running it on the smallest gas setting that he has here. Took it to the range yesterday, just screwing around, and a couple of guys saw me shooting it and were curious. They wanted to come up, they talked about it, and he said, hey, can I run a mag through it? He had a mag of like really bottom of the barrel Tula steel case, and put it in, and it short stroked. And I said, interesting. So we gave it a bit more gas, short stroked again. We went full open on the gas, and it started running perfectly, and the casings were flying out about where Barnall was flying out on the smallest gas setting. So clearly, you can see, when you have tunable gas on an AK, you can really see the differences in the ammo quality, the powder charge. So knowing that, it is nice knowing that no matter what ammo you're using, so far, even with 3 settings, there's a setting that you can find where it still feels really well gassed. And we're not gonna get into suppressing it on this video, that'll be the next one. Next time we're finally gonna start putting a can on it. We'll try some subs through it, try a few different types of ammo through it. Hopefully when that 6th position gas puck comes in, we'll try that. But it is nice knowing even with these 3 settings, I was able to get 3 types of ammo. We ran some Golden Tiger, Barnaul, like several different types of Barnaul, and Wolf, and no matter what, we found a gas setting of the 3 that worked perfectly with each one, where the casings would spit out like 3 to 4 feet away, and the gun would just shoot like a freaking laser beam. And this is 7.62. It is not easy to get a 7.62 AK to shoot like that. It really isn't. You have to get into muzzle brake territory, and you kind of have to start detuning the gas a little bit. It's just the way it is. And of course, proper stance. So the combination of the stock being mounted slightly higher, really being able to get your hand out there and kind of, for lack of a better term, Costa gripping that thing, the muzzle brake and the gas being turned down, you can clearly see in some of these clips, I'm handing this gun to people that have never shot it, they don't know what to expect, and their recoil control, it looks like they're shooting a 5.45. It looks really freaking flat. I haven't seen anyone shoot it that flat, dude. It just, like a laser.
Yeah, it's super nice. I like the gassing because it's like reliability gassed and not like gonna choke when it's cold gassed. Yeah, it's nice. Thank you.
I think having a muzzle brake option on this gun from factory would be cool. Maybe something with a suppressor mount from the get-go, maybe like a dead air 4-chamber, maybe like a JMac 2-chamber or something. I think that would be really cool. But it's so easy to change out muzzle devices because of the backing nut, similar to a Galil Ace, literally 2 3/4 inches, break them loose, comes right off. It's extremely easy to change muzzle devices. So because of that, I'm not too worried about whatever muzzle device he sells with it because it's so easy to change it out. And who the hell knows what kind of muzzle device you want, unless he'll have like an option on the website when you're picking one of these up, if you can like order the muzzle device a la carte. He even said he might think about selling these things without any muzzle device, without a stock, no sights, to save you money in case you already have all that stuff laying around. And I said, that's a great idea. He wanted me to keep a look at some custom welds that he had going on, this kind of bespoke piece that he has welded to the trunnion that couples to your Texas Weapons Systems dog leg. It all looks like one piece. That's some custom welding that he's done. We're 500 rounds in, nothing has loosened. We haven't lost zero, and I have been trying to beat the crap out of this thing, opening and closing the dust cover, shooting it at 25, 100, back at 25, blasting, and then taking it to a match, which we did today, and we'll get into that. But the safety has been awesome. The rail has not shifted in any way. What I've actually found that I like is I put a little bit of these pick rail covers here, because what I find myself doing is extending my hand like this, really getting down on the stock, and it has been extremely comfortable and easy to control that recoil. So I haven't tried any kind of foregrips or anything. I've kind of liked the full-length rail. I have heard people say, well, they'd like the rail to be a little bit farther out. I mean, I don't have the longest arms in the world, so maybe this is just relative to me, but I mean, my arm's almost fully extended to get on this thing while still keeping a little suspension in it. I don't think it needs to be any longer. That's just my personal opinion. We tested this thing accuracy-wise. This is a little bit shorter than a 16-inch barrel, so ballistics aren't gonna be exactly the same compared to your 16-inch 7.62 gun at a 25-yard zero. At a 25-yard zero, stacked them. Stacked them all right dead center. Cool, we got our baseline. When I shot it at 100, I thought, okay, most AKs would trend high at 100 by 6 to 8 inches, even if the barrel's a bit shorter than 16. I was sending the rounds low, like not hitting paper. So I said, that's interesting. So I aimed dead on at 100, and it was like, bam, bam, dead center. Dead hold at 25, dead hold at 100. Thought to myself, well, that's interesting. I've never, maybe it's just me, but I've never had an AK not shoot high, substantially high, at 100 yards with a 25-yard zero. So that was definitely interesting to me. But I think it's because the barrel's slightly shorter and it's just doing something a little bit different than what I'm used to. So what I love doing on this channel, and to me is the best test of a rifle, is taking a gun of any kind to a shooting competition. So that's exactly what we did today. I've done a ton of blasting with this thing before this match, but not a whole lot of shooting under the clock. So keep in mind, it's the first time I've ever shot this gun at a match against 60 other people. We shot 4 stages, and here's what I have to say about that. It was awesome. I made a couple bonehead mistakes, so instead of taking first like I was hoping, we took 4th place overall on a gun that I barely shot. Literally, I zeroed it and was just hosing it at the range, trying to get this thing to break, to give some info back to Mark to see if anything needs to be fixed. Took it to a match, took 4th place. And it shot great. A thing I noticed at the match that other people were telling me was, man, it looks heavy. It looks like it's gonna be a heavy gun. It's not. This thing feels no heavier, if not lighter, than like a bone stock AKM with like wood furniture. And a bone stock AKM with wood furniture is a light, handy gun. This feels no heavier than that. This whole thing is aluminum. It's extremely light. The whole dust cover is aluminum. And these SIG stocks are super lightweight. All of that coupled together, it's a pretty light gun. It's extremely pointable. We did a lot of VTAC barricade work, and with the front sight post taken off, it was very easy to stab in and out of VTAC barricade holds. It is light and maneuverable. It was easy to do a lot of running and gunning. We had a couple of stages that took some fast footwork in and out of windows, and it was really getting the job done. So it did really great at the match, and we got a lot more feedback at the match. A lot of people wanted to pick it up. They wanted to shoot it because it is a very sexy gun in person, and it looks very different. Zach Schaefer, one of Brandon's head gunsmiths, was there, Brandon Herrera. Zach Schaefer is a phenomenal gunsmith and a phenomenal competition shooter. He's really freaking good. It piqued his interest. He wanted to finger bang it a little bit. I was more than happy to let him do it. And clearly, if you look at this clip, Zach's never shot this gun before, picks it up and makes it look like a BB gun on recoil. I'm like, Zach, that gun shoots so flat in your hands. And he says, tell Mark I'm freaking impressed. Like, this is really cool. And we let a lot of other people shoot it too, and it was just like random people that may or may not have good stance. The recoil looked really freaking good in their hands. And I don't know what ammo people were using. People were walking up with their own mags. It could have been random ammo, but never had to change the gas setting. I've only really had to change it on Tula steel case, go full open. Everything else, I've gone full close to the smallest port, and it just sings. It's been cool. We did a bunch of reloading with this thing, like 1-to-1s, had to do a few reloads at the match. Given these Polish mags freaking balloon out when they're full, they're a little sticky going in, but with the Circle 10 mags or Bakelite mags, reloads are a freaking breeze. Of course, with that extended mag paddle, kind of hard to mess up. It really is. I've had 0 over travel from the safety. I really haven't ran it left-handed too much, but I've handed it to left-handed guys, and they were like, this is what it's like shooting an AK like a right-handed shooter. Because, you know, most left-handed guys would have to come back with their right hand, drop safety, and come back. Now, they get to shoot it just like a right-handed shooter would shoot it. Exactly the same. Just as smooth, too. It's just as smooth as on the right side. So, obviously, it was very accurate for me, has not lost 0. We're 500 rounds in. The only malfunctions we have had are changing the ammo to a lower powered round, where it short stroked, gave it more gas, took right off and ran. That's literally the only way we've ever gotten it to have a malfunction. That's it. 4th place at a match, held 0 really well. It's impressed a ton of people that have picked it up. The more I've spent a lot of time with this thing, I really dig it. I love the idea of having a 7.62 AK that really gets me excited again, like a modernized 7.62 AK. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never been too big on the Texas Weapons Systems dog legs, but this gun's really kind of made me a believer again that they do hold 0. And with the right rail, it all looks like one monolithic piece. It kind of gives me that Sure Shot chassis feel, that same vibe. It looks really good. Yes, he plans on making one in 5.56. If you're going to ask, that was my very first question. Yes, 5.56 version's coming once we kind of get the bugs worked out on this. But is this something that you would want if it's not horribly expensive? Because he says he doesn't want it to be too expensive. Let him know. Go on his Instagram page, comment down below. I'll make sure he reads all that stuff and he can make changes accordingly. He's taken all this stuff with stride. He wants to know what your thoughts are, what my thoughts are, and anyone else that shoots it. Mario Parada, my good buddy, shot this thing a bunch. Krebs called him instantly. He's like, hey, you're a really good builder. Please tell me honestly, what'd you think about this thing? I want this thing to be awesome. Tell me what I can do to make it better. That's where Mark's head's at right now. But that's all I have for you right now. It's going well. Mark, it's going well. All right, keep an eye out for the M23 Prototype. We got a lot more coming. We'll see you next time.